Hey, it's been a while since I made a video, and it's been a while since I made a video on Thailand, which is something that I'm very interested in and concerned about. So in this video I want to address two particular issues, which I've touched on in previous videos, but I want to give something of an update as I see it. A few disclaimers I want to make. I am an outsider, so I don't pretend to know absolutely everything that's going on the ground. But everything I'm saying comes from different sources and not all from one source. So what I'm going to say can be verified by different sources. Secondly, I've always held the view that we live in an interconnected world and anyone, anywhere, has a right to comment on any situation. It's utterly absurd that some people would think just because I'm an outsider I have no right to comment. So I don't say I know absolutely everything that's happening on the ground, but this is a video about observation and about reflections on a situation. It's not meant to be an academic thesis, okay? That's a very important point I would like to make in this video, and that refers to every video I make about any country anywhere. I don't even know 100% the things going on in Britain. I don't know 100%. And by the way, no one does, really. So all we can do as YouTubers is reflect on our views, and that's what I'm trying to do. I imagine there'll be people offended by this video, but the sort of people I'm talking about get offended very, very easily anyway. So I couldn't care less what they think. I will also make the very important point here that I am making this video in the United Kingdom. That means I'm subject to British law, and this video in no way violates British law. But I know that if I was making it in Thailand, I'd be violating His Majesty. But I'm not making it in Thailand. And to Thai Royalists who might be watching this, I don't give a shit about 112, so long as I'm in this country. If I ever come to Thailand, I will obey your laws, because I don't fancy spending time in a Thai prison. But I am going to have my view so long as I am under British jurisdiction. Okay, so firstly I want to talk a bit about General Prayuth, or Cha-Chan. This guy is the new Prime Minister of Thailand. He's also a military strongman, and his behaviour is increasingly erratic and dictatorial. Basically, he took over the country in a coup back in May, which got quite a lot of attention. But since he took over, the human rights situation in Thailand has gotten much graver. These are some of the things that have been going on under General Prayuth. So, one person he reminds me of increasingly is General Fan Shui in Burma. He's just exhibiting some of the same behaviour in terms of superstitions and soothsayers and that sort of thing. But anyway, this is an example of one such thing that's been going on. This is from Time magazine. Kitasak Sumsri was abducted from outside his teacher training college in Bangkok. The 47-year-old was a red-shirt supporter of the Thai Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra and a critic of the coup d'etat of May the 22nd. Frantic relatives say they received an anonymous telephone call soon afterwards, stating that he had been taken into military custody and would be released after 7 days if they kept quiet. Nothing further has been heard, and now the junta denies having him. So if they deny having him, who are these anonymous phone calls being made by? If they've got no connection to the regime, then who are they? And why is the regime not doing anything about it? Now, since taking over Thailand, Prayuth has instituted something called the National Council for Peace and Order. I think it's called, get the exact name, the National Council for Peace and Order. This is a sort of utopian body that a lot of totalitarian regimes set up. It sounds nice on the surface. It sounds like Thailand's a politically divided country, it needs unity, that sounds like something good. But the reality is, the persecution of dissidents is increasing in Thailand. It's getting worse. And a lot of international bodies have expressed concern at this. Amnesty International, the European Union. And this is from another source. This is from the human rights organization FIDH. I'm not familiar with this, but I'm just quoting the source I'm using here. Anyway, these things can be verified by plenty of other sources. And basically it says that, I'll put links to this. After seizing power, the NCPO systematically silenced dissident voices. Authorities harassed and detained academics, writers and journalists. On the 2nd and 18th of September, the NCPO forced activists and academics to cancel 2 public talks on democracy and human rights. This is all Prayuth's design on bringing democracy to Thailand, is by forbidding talk of democracy. On the 19th of September, NCPO head General Prayuth said that public forums discussing democracy, elections or criticising the government were banned, which is basically how a dictatorship behaves. The NCPO also acted to curb online criticism. From the 22nd of May, the NCPO blocked more than 200 websites and 500 URLs that were deemed a threat to national security. Well, that's an excuse basically to crush dissent. We're not talking about terrorist organisations here, we're talking about dissidents. Those are just some of the examples of the things that are going on in Thailand right now. And it is very unsettling because it echoes what the situation was like in Burma about 5-10 years ago. Another thing that's very disturbing is the number of lèse-majesté cases are skyrocketing. Prayuth and his regime have said that they're going to persecute lèse-majesté with a vengeance. In other words, if you're not familiar with what that is, lèse-majesté is very, very strict laws that exist in Thailand. It comes from a French word, it basically means offence to monarchy. And Thailand has some of the severest lèse-majesté laws in the world. I don't think it's unique, but it has some of the most harsh lèse-majesté laws around. And it has been a political tradition, unfortunately, in Thailand that these laws are used as a way of attacking political opponents. Prayuth is an arch-royalist. Of course, he's a former general in the Royal Thai Army, and another very important point here, the king has endorsed this dictator. Make no mistake about it, Prayuth exhibits all the behaviour of a classic dictator. Now, the king has endorsed this, so that means if the palace is not behind this coup, then at the very least they are appeasing a dictator. So what does that say about the monarchy's so-called benevolence in Thailand? I think at the very least it's very questionable. And the Thai Royalists watching this, I really couldn't give a shit if you're offended by that. Because the king is a human being, he's not above criticism. I know in Thailand he is, but to the sane world, he's a human being. And the fact of the matter is he has endorsed this coup. Now, just to be clear, this was an overthrow of the democratic government of Yingluck Shinawatra. Now, I am not going to say that she had a squeaky clean government. I'm not going to say that for a second. I do believe there's been corruption within the Shinawatra family. I'm not going to say otherwise. But Thailand is a country that is deeply politically divided, and in the end of the day, Yingluck was a democratically elected prime minister. Yes, she was the little sister of her brother. Yes, she had relatively little political experience, but she was a democratically elected leader, and she was deposed in a coup d'etat by the yellow shirt factions. So, I mean, this is nothing new in Thailand. This is a country that's had something like 28 military coups in less than a century. So Thailand unfortunately has a lot of experience of this, but the particular situation now is, I've been studying Thai history and Thai politics for a while, and this certainly seems like a very tense situation right now. And certainly I know a lot of people in Thailand. I'm not going to name anyone because obviously I'm not going to put friends in danger, but they are very, very worried about the situation, and I'm worried about them because of who they are, and because of the sort of threats that they would face from this military dictatorship. Now, Prayuth says that this is necessary for restoring democracy. I would be very, very surprised if Thailand gets the sort of things that are necessary for democracy. For example, freedom of expression. Now, lèse-majesté has always been a problem for free expression, but the fact that it has increased is particularly concerning. So basically, this attack on democratic discussion, free speech, and the fact that Prayuth and his regime is pushing lèse majesté cases is very dangerous indeed. I don't have time in this video to talk about everything I want to talk about, so I'll just get on to the next point which I was going to raise, and that is apologists for General Prayuth, Thai Royalists. Some of them may well be watching this video. There's a few things I'd like to say. Firstly, I apologise to everyone that I cannot speak Thai. Ideally, I'd be speaking in Thai for this video so that I could reach a wider audience, but for the time being this will have to suffice. So apologies for that. And I'm not apologising to Thai Royalists, I'm apologising to Thai dissidents who who may in some cases not be able to speak English. I apologise to those people because they're the sort of people I support. But basically, Thai Royalists, I've had a lot of experience with these people. And just to be clear, I'm not talking about the average Thai who happens to support the monarchy, because a lot of Thais do. I'm talking about hardcore Neo-Royalists who... Oh, by the way, before I forget, another one of Prayuth's edicts was that the poor should work harder. Now, it's ironic, that's the sort of thing that the Khmer Rouge came out with. Yeah, so Thai Royalists, I've had, just before I made this video, I was in a debate with one, not really a debate, more like, well, there's generally a trend, when I've come out with statements about why I think lèse majesté and Article 112 is a brutal violation of human rights, notably the right to free expression, usually there's a trend. Either it starts off where they behave relatively mature and they counter points and they disagree, but because they have no moral argument, they're not really capable of having an adult debate on this, so they end up just getting into... I mean, he called me ginger-haired, etc, etc. He started insulting me in that way. That doesn't bother me, I am redhead, so what? It doesn't bother me. But one thing I've noticed about these Neo-Royalists is they're some of the most sensitive people in the world. They're so weak when it comes to having thin skin. They cannot take criticism, and their precious monarchy cannot take criticism, at least in their mind it can't, because it's actually a personality cult. They see His Majesty the King as being a living god, okay? And these insane people cannot have an adult discussion without threats, without cyberbullying, without calling people all the names under the sun, things that have absolutely nothing to do with the debate. You see, if it was a case that they were simply having a disagreement, then I'd respect that more. I would still strongly disagree with them, but I would at least respect the fact that they're engaged in an adult debate. But most of these people cannot engage in an adult debate. They just make threats, they just call you names, and they're utterly pathetic. Utterly pathetic. And if you're one of those people, fuck you. Yes, fuck you. Any sort of insults you can throw at me because of my appearance is meaningless. I don't lose sleep because I know that you have no adult arguments to make, and that is automatically the sign of a loser. I know there's a lot of you, and I know what you're doing. You try to terrorize and harass Thai dissidents, not just in Thailand, in other countries, and I believe that Western countries and countries that respect freedom of expression should deport you people. I don't believe you have a right to be in a society that values free speech. And it's just utterly pathetic. And the reason I'm mentioning these people is because dictators like Prayuth rely on, you know, every time a dictator gets into power, he or she always needs some sort of backing. And in this case it is the Neo-Thai Royalists. There's quite a lot of Thais support Prayuth, partly because of this personality cult around the king. They think Prayuth is pro-monarchy, therefore that must be good for Thailand. But they don't look beyond that and look at, actually, this man is attacking freedom of expression. He's arresting dissidents. Now, if you're pro-monarchy, you might think, oh, that's fine, it's the other side. But the problem is, this sort of environment means that nobody is safe. Because you might well find yourselves on the wrong side of it someday. Just because he's only targeting so-called red shirts at the moment does not mean that if you're a yellow shirt supporter, or you say that you love the king, then you're going to be safe. Because the political environment in Thailand is such that anyone who says the wrong thing will find themselves targeted. This is a very dangerous situation, and there needs to be much more international pressure put on Thailand. I hope at the ASEAN summit, the APEC summit in Beijing, Obama and others spoke to General Prayuth and raised concerns about what is happening there and challenged him on this. Because it's a very grave situation. I'm coming to the end of the time frame here, but it's a serious situation, and to Thai Royalists, I couldn't care less what you think of me. You're pathetic. Your behaviour is utterly, utterly pathetic.